Shavasana. Lying very symmetrically. Take another minute or so to make any adjustment you need to make. After that, don't fidget. Today, I would like you to pay much more attention to your legs. Relax generally. But then consider in your feet. Imagine your breath is going to the toes. And as you breathe in and out, on inhalation, you are washing, bathing, cleansing the toes. As though the skin, the bone, and the flesh fall away from each other in your toes. You see that there is at least a vast sense of space, if necessary, imagine a space between the skin and the bones, bones and the flesh, flesh and the skin. As you continue to breathe freely, little conscious breathing, find that passivity coming from the toes to your feet. So once again in the feet, from the toes all the way to the ankle, there is vast space between the bones, the flesh, and the skin. The foot begins to feel longer and heavier, falling away from your trunk. Continuing to breathe freely. Find the left half of the face falling to the left, right half falling to the right. See that passivity of all facial muscles is received more particularly in your lips. The passivity of the lips is received in the gums. And from the gums to the inner ears, comes to the jaws, jaws to inner ears. Breathing freely, consider all the passivity in your feet, the bones, the flesh, the skin falling away from each other everywhere in the feet, in the toes. As the sensation in the feet increases, find that there is a little deeper space in your ears. As the foot becomes heavier, toes become heavier and longer, there is an increased sense of deep space in the inner ears. Find that passivity then rising from the toes, the feet into the ankles. Inner ankle, outer ankle, front of the ankle, back of the ankle, skin and surface of the ankles, deep in the center of the ankles. Everywhere there is increasingly vast space. And with that space comes even a deeper sense of space in your ear, as though the foot is hanging from your inner ear. Find this passivity then rising from the toes, the feet, the ankles into your lower legs. With your imagination, as though the breath moves to your lower legs, see that the bones, the flesh, the skin fall away from each other in an increasingly subtle way, everywhere in the lower leg. So the lower leg also becomes heavier and longer, as though hanging from the inner ear. The passivity then rises from the toes, the feet, the ankles, lower legs into the knees. From the inner knee, outer knees, everywhere the bones, the flesh, the skin release. There is increasingly more sense of space. Front of the knee, the back of the knees, all the skin and surface of the knees, deep in the center of the knees, all around the kneecaps. Vast, immense space. With that, the knee, the lower leg, the foot, the toes all hang from the inner ears. Find that passivity then rising from the toes, the feet, the ankles, lower legs, knees to the thighs. Some of the biggest muscle in the body is the quadricep. Everywhere in the hamstrings and the quadriceps, the muscle releases from the bone releases from the muscle. So between the skin, the flesh, and the bone, there is vast space, as though the breath creates that space. And the leg becomes with that heavier and longer, as though hanging from the inner ears. And although leg begins physically at the head of the femur, consider as though the leg is beginning, as though the head of the femur is behind you at the top rim of your pelvis. So the longer the leg is, the longer, the heavier the sense is in the leg. It feels as though the leg is hanging from the pelvis, from the top of the pelvis. Then find the leg hanging from the mid-thoracic vertebra behind you. That line of action continues from the leg to the mid-thoracic vertebra. From the mid-thoracic vertebra, it is hanging from your inner ears. Can that sensation grow without any effort on your part? Just by being. So to come out of Savasana, when you open your eyes and you bend your knees, don't bind the top of the femur. Continue to have the leg hanging towards the feet even as you bend the knees. Then roll to the right side and come out. Thank you. Namaste.